Hello students, today we're taking a look at the Scrollsaw, sometimes called the jigsaw. It gets its name because it's used to make scroll work or to cut fine curves. A jigsaw puzzle gets its name from this machine because old-fashioned jigsaw puzzles, instead of being made out of cardboard like they are today, were made out of wood, and they were cut apart on a machine just like this. The jigsaw uses a thin blade similar to the coping saws we used in middle school. That blade moves up and down rapidly to make the cuts. The scroll saw is a lot like the bandsaw, but instead of having a continuous loop blade, it just has that one little stick that moves up and down. Number one, be sure the blade is properly installed with the teeth pointing down. For the blade to be properly installed, it has to be tight inside the jaws at the top and down below the machine. The teeth on the saw blade have to be going downward. Number two, make sure the hold down or guard is in place. This particular scroll saw has a guard that goes here in front of my hand. Some saws actually have a hold down that actually rests on the wood. Keep your hands out of the kerf line. This basically means we want to keep our hands on the sides, not in front of the blade, but K-E-R-F, kerf, is the line where the wood gets cut away. Number four, use relief cuts when necessary. We want to prevent twisting the blade because this can cause it to break. So our blade is tight in the jaws. We have our guard in place. On this particular saw, we need to tighten the blade. We stretch the blade tight by pushing that lever back, and then I'm going to switch the saw on. It rapidly moves up and down. When I make my cuts, similar to the bandsaw, it cuts in a straight line when I push the wood in, and it cuts turns or curves when I rotate the wood. Feed the stock only as fast as the saw will cut it, which means you're going to cut pretty slow on the scroll saw. Besides making really tight turns, the one thing that this saw can do that the bandsaw can't do is it can make internal cuts. So I can loosen all this stuff up. I untension the blade. I loosen the blade from the jaws here. I'm moving the guard out of the way. Now, I already pre-drilled a hole in my piece of stock here at the drill press. I can slide that right through the wood. And now I can just go back through that whole process again. Putting this back in here. Make sure that's snug. We keep the key hanging down below the table. Put the guard in place. Stretch the blade tight again. And we're ready to cut. Example of where you might need to use the scroll saw to make an internal cut like this is the slot for a handle or for the lid of a tissue box to have the tissues come through.